going to start with failure and to keep going, and which leads me to something I really advise people to, is to really finish your project, even if you know you're going to fail. A lot of people stop in the mid before they finish because they don't want to expose their failure. And it's very important to deal with it. And in fact, you're going to learn more from failure than success, I believe. So I don't know exactly how we connected that with my grandfather. My grandfather invented electronic bells, electronic keyboards. Maybe there is something running in the family. It's always difficult to differentiate what comes from your genes and what comes from your environment and from your education. I think it's those three elements that get mixed up, and it's a million of combinations. Because my brother are different from me. But it's true, yes, he invented a bunch of stuff. And I like to make things. I get very excited if I have an idea to see the result. And I'm very interested in people who work in science, because they have the same process. They have an intuition of something that could work, and then they're going to go in the lab and do some experiment, if it's with bacteria or with flies or watching the star or whatever. They have an intuition or an idea, and then they confront it to reality. And I think that's what excites me when I do my job. I have an idea of how things could work. To come back to this project of working with people to let them do their own film, the concept is to you put 20 people or 10 people who never talk to each other, and they are all together to make a movie, and they all have a good time. It's an experiment that I'm really excited by, and when I see that the result is very positive, it's a very good reward for me.
And I think that's a process you share with York, because I read that York, the first records, she wrote about her life, and now after she finished about talking about the family or her personal, thoughts, now she's experimenting with earth and science. And do you think that do you share that process?
Yeah, very, very much. You're totally right. We talk a lot about that with Bill. It's a constant conversation we have. We talk constantly by email, and we have projects. Sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't happen. But we have the same thing. And my development was later than hers. I mean, she became very famous very soon, and she did her first album, very personal, like you said. And I think my personal first album would be Science Asleep. And it's true, when you're done with that, you sort of want to explore other things, and you get sort of confidence and a justification that you look in other places, and then you sort of realize you have things to say, and then you have opportunities to say them. And we talk a lot about that with Björk. Initially we thought, because we were doing art, we didn't have to take part in the social life, and it was not our job, and then we changed both on that and realized that we had something to say, and if we had the opportunity to say it, we should use it. So we are very close in all these matters.
Hi, Michel. I would like to ask, how was it for you to make this jump from just directing to writing and directing, like the one you made from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind to The Science of Sleep? If you do you still plan to just to direct and writing, or would you like to? Are you thinking about working with another writer? Or?
I think I like to do both. I think it was difficult to go away from Charlie Kaufman, because there's a lot of people, especially in America, in the US, that believe that a story has to follow a certain set of rules, and if you don't do that, it's just not worth watching. And some people, I've heard many times that they didn't do anything good since Eternal Sunshine, which is frustrating. It's like if you've done something, and then it always comes, people, when they talk to you, always come back to this work, and they sort of won't even acknowledge the work you've done since. But it was important for me to work on my own, and I had in fact written Science of Sleep before I did Eternal Sunshine, and I had written a bunch of short films, and I was very shy into expressing myself, even more to talk about personal stuff or tell a story. But I think I tried for my first video to tell always a little story, and then I realized that to convince people to work with me, I had to go deeper in the story, on the mood, on the reason why the video should be done. And then, so I started to write, sort of to sell myself, like every director do. In doing that, especially when I was directing, I was reading my concept to deliver what I promised, and it was very important. It became like a screenplay. I developed them more and more. And I think through this way of working, I developed a little bit of faculty of writing my ideas and dialogues. So speaking English helped me a little bit I don't think I could have been capable of doing it right away in French, because it was my native language. And it's like, let's say you see a girl you like, you can, if you're French and you speak English, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't really matter, because you always have the excuse, especially if you're French. You have bad reputation, so you have excuses. But more than that, the fact that you're not speaking your native tongue, you have excuses to be a little naive. That was my complex. That my naivety, my lack of knowledge would be too apparent in French. So using English give me a good excuses, because of course people read after me and correct me, so it sounds a little bit better and so on. But it was a very progressive, slow process. But right now I'm supposed to work on this movie based on a novel by Philip K. Dick. I was supposed to write it, and people didn't really trust me doing that, and so we're hiring a writer, and I feel a little frustrated about that. But on the other hand, I like to work from a story that people bring to me, so it's okay too.
¿Nadie más tiene preguntas?
Hola Michel, ¿qué opinas acerca de la enseñanza? ¿Qué opinas acerca de la enseñanza cinematográfica en las escuelas y confrontarlo con la experiencia real de trabajar directamente en películas?
From the teaching at school?
Sí.
Well, it's hard for me to answer this question because I didn't go in film school. But I remember this movie called Maria Full of Grace. Is that Mexican? No. It's a good one. This guy, Colombian, he came right out of school and he really applied the rules. And I was really impressed when I saw this movie because it felt so complete. But to be honest, I was very, not jealous, but I was very, very impressed. And it was right out of school. It's funny because when I watched it one time, and then I put it was DVD, I put the comment on, and you could tell all the things he had learned in school. But he was talking about a problem that he kind of knew well. He was probably well documented. His movie is amazing. So that's an example of somebody who comes right out of school and makes a movie that's amazing. So, but I can't speak about my experience about how to translate knowledge out from school to the real life. I mean, I see sometimes people coming out of school and they talk too much a little bit, or they want to be trained to do a one shot, like very complicated shot. And the fact is, whatever you shoot, it doesn't really matter at the end in terms of camera or lighting or all those things, because it's really the people you're shooting and the story you're telling. Many times I like in Michel Gondry, initially my first opening shot was like a super long shot, like very complex, leading to the end of the credits, but we couldn't fit it in the movie. It's always too long, so we had to shop it. So there is some tendency of people who are really having big ambition coming out of the school, and I would not advise to use a big crane to the first movie.
Michel here. Julia from Argentina, right here.
No, you have to make...
Right here. I got two questions, of course, but they're going to be short. The first one is, what kind of music do you listen to, even for relax or in your creative process when you're at home? What's your favorite kind of music? And the second one is, if the end's going to end tomorrow and you need to decide videos or feature films, which one and why?
Oh, I would do feature films. Yeah, I mean, anyway, you kind of make me do this choice because I could always do. In fact, I've been two last videos, except the one for Björk, which was played. I mean, the video was played. The two one before was for my girlfriend, who was a singer. I paid everything, so you couldn't stop me. I put my own money into it. See, now I forgot the first question. The music I play, I like to listen to Michael Jackson. It depends on what I'm writing, for instance, or rhythm and blues like Big Withers. Or it's hard for me to listen to Björk because it's always connected to some production or some activity, so it's kind of work and like. But when she sent me the new track, I'm supposed to listen. I really enjoy that. Otherwise, I like to listen to abstract music like Morton Feldman, contemporary music. What else? There is music that's all back, but I play at the piano when it's not too mannered, but it's like very free, and like when Glenn Gould does it, it's very very light. A lot of things. It's really a good way to focus. Like there is some very scary music if you listen to Stravinsky. I think most of the film music, like if you listen to Bernard Herrmann, it's all borrowed from Stravinsky. And his music is like suspense movies. Or for instance, there is this other musician I really like called Olivier Messiaen, who's a French composer who played very early on synthesizers. But he was very religious, and he was an ornithologist. He was a son. He knew a lot about birds. So his wife was a piano player and a singer, I think. No, I think a piano player. And he would record the singing of the birds and translate them into music. But it's funny because when it's played with a big orchestra, the little bird becomes like a big murder music. It's a very famous piece of him, and it's just amazing to see how it started from the small bird and just becomes this huge melody that make you think of anything except birds.
Hi. I have only one question. When any artist or band or someone in the movies approaches you and asks you to do any special work or film or video, are there any special conditions for you to work with them to have you said no to any project?
Oh yeah, well I said no now. Before, when I started, everybody was saying no to me. Now it's kind of went the other way around. But what's the question exactly? Why do I say no?
Are there any special conditions for you to say no? I don't want to do that project in particular, or that video, or I don't want to work